Welcome to Let's Chat, episode 13, live from Rugby WA. Just me on the desk today. I've lost my co-host, Dane Lazarus, gone, no idea where he is. Graham Cooper in lockdown, in his second week of ISO lockdown after refereeing over on the East Coast in the Super Rugby competition. So he's stuck with me today. Very quick, tight show. Let's get started. We'll go with the results from the Premier Grade from last week. First up, Palmyra getting over the top of Perth Bayswater 34-13. Big win for that club as they sort of try to cement their spot in the top four after a very, very strong start to the season. The Perth Bayswater are in a completely pink kit, which I really rated. I thought that was fantastic in support of National Breast Cancer Foundation. So well done to Perth Baysy. They would have loved to have got up in a win there, but unfortunately not. And the Rugby WA Senior Academy player, Reese Apanu, was apparently on fire. Played a pretty big role in their win, so well done, Reese. Great to have him back. Coastal Cavs getting up in a big win over Curtin Rugby, 43-17. That's 3 on the trot for Coastal Cavs. I'm pretty sure the Goats would have liked to have put in a bit more of a competitive performance there, but we did mention last week on the show they are struggling with injuries. So the poor Goats going down there, 43-17. Great win for the Cavs. Big game on the weekend. No one tipped this. 50-all draw between Arcs and Wanneroo. It's kind of hard to believe. Apparently, Grayson Makara was everywhere, just stepping through Arcs like a couple of traffic cones, but unfortunately the rest of Wanneroo didn't turn up. Fantastic to see Arcs put on a big try performance like that. Just couldn't get the win. They would have absolutely loved to have got the win there, but fantastic to see a 50-all draw in Rugby WA footy. Big win on the weekend. Nedlands down at the foreshore, getting over the top side. Cottesloe Seagulls, undefeated up until last weekend. Big win. I was down there. It was tight all game. Couple of yellow cards. The skipper, Tobias Hoskins, getting thrown off, as well as the big number 8 from Nedlands. It was all happening, but Nedlands showed a lot of courage and also just that they've got the depth to go the full 80 minutes against a top-tier side. Also just trying to sneak their way into that top 4. Huge effort. They're just outside. They're 5th at the moment. If they get a win this weekend, they are in the top 4, which is massive with 1 round to go. Cottesloe will look to bounce back this weekend, that's for sure. Kalamunda, we speak about them every week when it comes to the end of the season. Big win over Southern Lions, 41-7. They're just playing their best footy towards the end of the season, as they always do. And they're looking to... Look, I think they're a chance to make the 4, and if they keep winning, maybe, but they've got a few teams to beat in these next 2 weeks before they can get up there. But well done to Kalamunda. They just keep steaming on. There was big games everywhere, but this one was probably the biggest. West Scarborough getting up over Associates, 28-27 at the death. That win keeps them in contention for finals. It also managed to not change the top 2 pairings of Cottesloe and Associates. If Associates had won that game, they would have gone to 1, Cott to 2. It now keeps Cott at 1, Soaks at 2. Big reverse taste there for Associates, unfortunately. And Walter Koteka, he is a man possessed out there at the moment. He pretty much took over that game in the last 15 minutes and won it for West Scarborough. Huge for West. Keeps them in finals contention. They'll still have to win their next 2 games to stay in the 4, but that's huge. Well done to West. And the last game, Joondalup getting over UWA in another very tight game, 21-19. Joondalup really struggling against those top-tier sides. Good to see them beat a good side in UWA who have hit a vein of form in the last few weeks. We had the O'Sullivan brothers on the show last week that were pretty confident, quietly confident, you would say, to beat Joondalup, but it was good to see Clay Ewan have an outstanding game, coming back from a broken nose, busting through tackles, as we've seen him do, all the way through junior ranks, right up into playing for the Force. Really good to see Clay back in Joondalup colours, also playing against his old side. Now, that's it. We'll move on. Round the ground, Super Rugby final tomorrow. The Reds taking on the number 1 seed, the Brumbies. Great game from the Reds last week against the Rebels. Pretty tight, but in the end they were too strong. Very, very good to see them. That'll be a good game. That kicks off at 5:20. I think today? No, tomorrow on Saturday. That'll be a corker. I'm picking the Brums. I think they'll be too strong. But the Reds are showing they've got some depth, and they're going to be a very, very dangerous team in the years to come with that youth that's coming through. Tune into that. Now, big one. Fresh, hot off the press from the Western Force. The WA stalwart young gun, the Adonis Kyle Godwin, has signed a 2-year deal with the Western Force. Absolutely incredible. There were whispers on the grapevine that he'd signed with the Waratahs, which would have been absolutely crushing, but the Force have done enough to get him over the line, and he's staying in WA for the next 2 years, which is just incredible news for the Western Force. Great to see that we've managed to lure him back. Good Associates boy, as you can see on the screen there. Grew up playing his rugby in WA, played with the Western Force, left and went overseas and played for Connacht for a few seasons where he tore it up for the Irish club, and we've got him back, and he played a superb season for us this year. Getting picked in that sort of initial Wallaby squad, I think very, very rough not to be picked in that next squad. I think he should definitely be in there. But that's massive. Well done to the Western Force. Well done to the boys upstairs. Tim Sampson also re-signing earlier in the week, last week. Really big from him. I don't know if you heard that. There's some big weights being dropped in the gym. The boys are back. Moving on. Fortescue Senior Rugby Grand Finals. Let's have a chat about that. They have been confirmed to be hosted at UWA. I think this is fantastic. It's definitely the premier ground to watch rugby in Western Australia. Great viewing point, great can bar. It's a great place to watch rugby, so make sure you get down to those, which will be kicking off on Saturday, October 10. Beautiful. Get down there. Fill the hill, as we say. It's going to be a brilliant day. Very long day rugby, but I'll be there from, I reckon, 9 a.m, Harry. Yep, we'll get down there nice and early. That's going to be great. Next one, Spring Sevens registrations have now opened. So start getting your teams together as prize money is on offer for your club. So rock up, get a team together, get a bench. It's hard footy out there playing sevens. Players can register through the Rugby Explorer app. So get your team together, get your club together and win that. The one and only Spring Sevens Carnival will be held this year at Southern Lions Rugby Club on October 31, on Halloween there. How good. Get down, it's going to be Freaky Friday. Now let's move on to the fixtures. Second last week before finals, some huge games for the top sort of 6-7 in the competition. These 2 weeks basically mean who's in, who's out. Let's get on. Cottesloe taking on Joondalup. This game is pretty much the biggest game Joondalup's played all year. They lose this, they're pretty much going to be out of the finals. So they need to win. Cottesloe need to bounce back after a tough loss against Nedlands. They're getting a few players back on the rumour mill. Cohen Mason is back. He fractured his eye socket a few weeks ago against West. He's back in the number 7 jersey. That's a big one for Cott. So they'll be looking to bounce back from a pretty average loss against there from Nedlands, but a must-win for Joondalup. UWA taking on Kalamunda. Huge game. Keller get a big win here. Bonus point. Possibly shifts them up into that 5th or 6th position. It's just huge. Also, these two will probably end up playing each other for the Championship Division Final Series. But Kalamunda, red hot form as they are every year towards the end of the season. They're looking really good. Would love to see WA get up and have a win there, but I'm picking Kala for that one. Palmyra taking on Arcs. This is a big one for Pally. They need to win this to hold on to the number 3 spot. They'll want to win this one. But I tell you what, Arcs coming off a 50-point scoreboard last week, they'll want to come up here and test Palmyra. Very, very big game for Palmyra. Out at Tompkins Park, should be an absolute cracker down there on the foreshore. Next one, Associates taking on Coastal Cavs, who are coming off 3 in a row. The Rugby WA Cup is on offer. This is at Allen Park, so the Coastal Cavs have got that one. They'll play for this. It's huge. Soaks will want to secure a second spot here against Coastal Cavs. I think they'll have enough energy in the tank, enough depth there to beat Coastal Cavs, but who knows? It's also the first ever Islander Day at Soaks, which is going to be massive. It's on all day. There's going to be Islander jerseys. There's presentations. There's going to be a hucker after the game. It's going to be massive. This is put on by the club, by Associates, by the players there at the club as well. So it's a fantastic initiative. Well done, Soaks. It's going to be a cracker day. Get down to Allen Park, down to the Boneyard. And the last game, Curtin v Wanneroo. Now, you would have thought last week that Wanneroo would have had this one pretty easily, but after that draw against Arcs, who knows? Now, I will tip Wanneroo here, but I'd love to see Curtin put in a competitive performance to see if they can get up against the Roo Dogs, but I dare say I think the Roo Dogs will take this one in the second last game of the season. Now, match of the round. This one is huge. West Scarborough with a big win over Soaks last week. They take on Netherlands. This pretty much means whether or not West finish in the top 4, they'll want to win this. They're both in good streaks of form, as they are always at the end of the season. Netherlands, always good at home. Their second home game 2 weeks in a row. That's a big advantage for them. But West have their, they're up. They beat the second top team. They're in really good form. Walter Katekera is just absolutely flying at the moment. It's do or die. This is going to be the best one. If I can suggest getting down to this one, I would highly recommend it. You can watch it live on the Rugby WA community Facebook page and on YouTube, and it will most likely be on NITV as well, probably the following week, but it will be an absolute cracker. Plenty of rugby to get down and watch. Get down and watch all grades. There's some awesome footy getting played at the moment, and a beautiful weekend of footy coming up too. So get down there and enjoy it. Now, next one, my favourite, TMO clip of the week. We found this one in the Curtin game last week. They've got the fastest man in rugby, I reckon. Probably the fastest man in rugby Australia. Nick Chadwick is his name. They call him Zoom Zoom. He's the Ferrari, the Rolls Royce down there at Curtin. Have a look at this length of the field solo effort from Nick Chadwick from Curtin. How about that? Nick Chadwick from the Curtin Goats. He is a superstar. Length of field. First solo length of field we've seen all season. Great to see that. He's a really good player for Curtin. Tries his heart out every week. That's what we'd love to see. That's the show today. Thank you for joining me. Unfortunately, you just had me by myself, although I think that's the way it should be. But no, we'll be back next week live from Kalamunda after the Premier Grade match. We're going to be live there out at the ground, hopefully with Graham Cooper out of ISO. Who knows? It might be Dane Lazarus, might be Graham Cooper. Who's your pick? Who knows? But we'll be live after that game, bringing you the results and the live ladder. Who's made the top 4? Who's in the finals? It's going to be a massive week. We'll see you there. That'll be on the Saturday. Thanks for joining us on Let's Chat. We'll see you next week.